Welcome back, everyone, to another new and exciting episode here on the Open Wide podcast with Dr. Jenny and Susan. Today, we are going to talk about instant attraction versus ick on the first date. I just like the word ick.
Yeah. The ick factor. Yeah.
Yeah, the ick
factor. It says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
So, Susan, I'd like to talk about what attracts you to a person. Let's start with that. What attracts you to another person?
Okay. So, this question gets answered differently, different decades of your life, right? Because you may want in your early years to find somebody who's tall, dark, and handsome because you want to have tall, dark, and handsome kids. Later in life, you're looking for other qualities, and but the one quality that I have to have is somebody who's funny. If you are not funny,
amen.
If you can't make me laugh, then it's just a deal breaker for me. I can't imagine not going through a day without having several belly laughs. So that's the first thing for me. Looks has almost no relevance anymore for me. I could care less. Kindness being the second factor that's very important. This is a person who's got to treat, if we're out on a first date, the wait staff well. Be polite if there's, we have to wait in line or something like that. I can't abide by people who are unkind to anybody, but particularly to like the wait staff. So those are two factors that I must have. And if they're not there, then I can't even consider anything else.
Well, and I would say I agree with everything you just said. I have a question for you, though. What about their background? Like, I need somebody that has some depth, interesting, done things that maybe I've never heard about or talked about or thought about, or I need somebody who's interesting and who's had an interesting, I don't know how many times I can say the word interesting, but I need somebody that's interesting. Would you agree with that? Like if someone said, I am a this, and that's it, and that's that, and, there's nothing wrong with that, but I need somebody that's traveled, that's had some adventures in their life, that's, I don't know, created something
there's
or
some
done
layers,
something.
There's some layers to the person, yeah.
Yeah, layers, that's it.
I agree with all of that, with this caveat. I was with somebody recently who is all of that. Very interesting, very well-traveled, has lots of layers, solid, good career, this and that, but did not stop talking about it or himself the entire time. And I thought, you haven't asked one question about me, so you're not that interesting to me anymore, even though you're interesting. So do you get what I'm saying? It's got to be a two-way street. You've got to be at least interested in your partner in order to make an impression on me anyway.
Well, and the other thing for me that brings up is ego. And listen, I'm all about ego. When I was young, I was all caught up in what I was wearing and the brands, and I still do a little bit of that. But it's not me. It's not who I am.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm not going around flaunting what I've got and showing it off and this, that. And I feel like the older we get, that just doesn't look great. It doesn't carry great. It doesn't deliver well. So my recommendation would be set the ego aside, which ties into you with someone just talking about themselves on and on and on and on. It's like, okay, you got to give and take in the conversation.
Yeah.
So I agree. Another deal breaker for me or instant attraction is obviously teeth.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a good one, actually. Yeah.
And I'm not being coy or funny, I'm always funny, Susan, but teeth.
Yeah.
And I don't care if they're worn down little itty bitty nubs. Are they clean?
Yeah.
Are you trying?
Right.
I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be hard for somebody like you for sure. So, and something for me in that category is you've got to be physically fit. And by that, I mean, you got to make an effort to take care of yourself, right? Like maybe you don't have to be like, Arnold Schwarzenegger, but you do need to, show that you care enough about yourself, that you're out taking a walk or out going for a bike ride, or you've got to be physically able, in order for me to like have any interest whatsoever. So yeah.
If you meet someone and they say that their number one hobby is sitting on the couch watching Netflix, you know,
Yeah.
you need somebody that's at least trying to keep their weight under control and walking and getting out into some nature. I guess more balanced, I would say. And it's interesting because in the day and age that we live in of social media and everybody's behind a computer screen and everybody's doing something with a computer, it's easy to fall in the trap of sitting in the house in a dark room or whatever on your devices. And you just got to get out. You can't just be a couch potato anymore, at least for me.
Yeah, but what I'm thinking is that it says a lot about who you are as a person, since we're judging who you are as a person on these dates.
True.
Who you are as a person if you feel like it's okay to sit around on a video game all day long and sit on the couch. That tells me all I need to know about you.
So if you go on a first date, Susan, and someone is hitting all the ick factors for you,
Yeah.
just it's not, how do you end that? Like, how do you say, okay, great, and that's a wrap?
Yeah. Well, a couple things. First of all, did you know about this app that you can, like
The breakup app?
no, but you can quietly press a button and your phone will ring, and it will be some message like your sister is in labor. You need to hurry up and get home. It's like, did you hear this app? It's great.
No, so if you just tell the guy that you have no children, and then you hit the app, and they say your daughter's been rushed to the hospital.
Yeah, I think you'd have to be. No, that's true. You'd have to like put in like, don't say this, but do say that. I don't know, but there's that. So that's always very helpful. I think that's the reason why.
Do you have that app on your phone?
Not yet, I don't, but it's going on, baby. Don't you worry. I think that's the reason why I tend not to want to have like a gourmet dinner as our first date, because if you're like just past the escargot and you run out of things to talk about, you still have 2 more courses.
Yeah.
And that you can't really get up in the middle of a restaurant and say, hey, see you later, bye.
Yeah.
So I think that easier dates, so I don't know, lunch dates or coffee dates or even like a breakfast or something is much better to just see if you got the vibes, and if the ick factor is there, because you can tell right away if the ick factor is there or not.
I'm and then also I would imagine it's been a long time. Thank you, Tom, since I've been on a first date, but I think when you walk in and you see the person, if you haven't seen them before physically, you either kind of have a, oh, or you have a, ugh.
Well, you would have seen them before. See, this is showing the fact that you haven't been on a date in 20 years.
I've entered into, Susan, the time in my life, I've just entered into it where if the date doesn't seem like it's going to go anywhere, I do not have a problem saying, hey, thanks so much. Wish you all the best. The paella was great.
Yeah, no, I think you wouldn't leave in the middle of the dinner, though. You'd wait until the end of the dinner, and then I think each candidate has the right to say, "How do you think that went?"
Right,
and you could say,
"No, but it's not like a competition." I mean, but I would wrap it up if it's not working for me. I appreciate the other person, and he can express how he feels, but I'm done.
No, I know, but you have to be kind in the process too. You've got to say, look at let's summarize what happened here. Like and
let's make an outline.
I just really feel like there's no chemistry, and I think people expect that kind of conversation at the end of a first date.
I think I don't feel any chemistry or fighting words. I would stick with the paella has been great. I wish you all the best on your X, Y, and Z project.
No,
thanks for your time today. But I'm out.
Well, I disagree, and let me tell you why. You've just invested 2 hours or whatever it is on this date. He's invested it. You've invested it. That there needs to be some concrete feedback, not just the paella was great. See you later. Have a good life. That would suggest that you were just using him for dinner.
For paella?
Yeah, I think you need to say, "Hey, Chuck." I think.
Hey, Chucky.
I think, or if his name is Milburn or something like that, you'd be like, yes. I think he might be too old. No, I think you just need to say, I just feel like we don't have the chemistry. I don't feel like I have the chemistry. What are you feeling at the end of this date? And And
what do you do if he says, "Oh, I'm hot and heavy and I'm all in"?
Yeah, say, well, okay, well, I'm not. So I think that we're going to need to just, maybe we could stay friends, have coffee every once in a while, that kind of thing.
What are some things, Susan, that men should never ask on a date? Never should ask on a first date, especially.
What? How much do you weigh?
Oh, oh my God. That's a lifer right there.
Okay.
That is a lifer.
There's like 5 million questions.
No, on the weight. No. Or do you think I look pretty?
Yeah.
Yes. Or do you like the way this dress looks? Yes.
Yeah, no, if you have to ask those questions, those two questions.
No, but I'm just saying, what are some things that men should never ask on a first date?
Well, I don't know. I think, well, first of all, let me just point it this way, that there's sort of typical questions. What do you do? What was your life? Like, tell me about your first marriage. Like, I think men need to come up with more interesting questions. Like, what gave you joy this week? Or what was the happiest moment this week? Or, what if you were,
what's your 401k doing?
Yeah,
no,
if you could go on an exotic vacation, what's the most exotic thing you've ever done? If you could go on a bucket list vacation, what's the next on your list? I mean, something that's a little bit more stimulating than the typical rote questions.
So that
makes the guy more interesting.
Put some effort into the question before the date. Don't just show up and say, "Isn't the sunset amazing?"
Right.
Yeah. Huh, interesting.
Yeah.
All these things. But what are some of the things that women should do ahead of time for these dates?
Okay, well, if you're asking what women should do ahead of time, like not just for questions. All right, go on social media. Check out all the social media, Instagram, Facebook, check it all out. I think I may have mentioned this on a previous podcast, that there's these people now that will do sort of forensic investigation on somebody, particularly if you don't know them, because back in the old days, you were always introduced by friends, or you met at church, or you met at your local pub and everybody knew everybody. But now you don't know who you're getting on for these dates, right? So there are these people that will do some background checks and give you an idea of who the person is, which I think is worth the money. Whatever the money is, it's worth it. So that's something you definitely need to do, is check out social media.
And see, I have to say, for anyone listening that's living in a small town, you've got major advantage. I grew up in a super small town. We knew everybody coming and going. We knew the problems of everybody coming and going. We knew the ups, downs, side to sides. We didn't need to do background checks because the town was so small.
Right.
We knew everything.
Yeah, but that's not the case anymore.
Well, no, but then I moved to the big city. Well, there were still small towns, but then I moved to the big city, a.k.a. Sarasota, and it's different. You have no idea what's going on. I'm a big fan of background checks. I mean, just in general, I'm a huge fan of background checks.
Yeah, me too.
And what do you have to lose?
Right, nothing.
I have a patient who is dating, and she uses an app or whatnot, and she just randomly will show me, this guy's cute, and look at this one, and what do you think of this one? And I said to her, you need to do background checks on these people.
Right.
Before you waste your time or put yourself in danger, for God's sakes.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. So speaking of danger, then you need to let one or two people know where you're going. Like if the date is at Ocean Prime and so you have reservations for 8:00, make sure a friend of yours knows that that's what the plan is. And you should work out an arrangement with a friend that you call her at the end of or middle of the date, or go to the ladies' room and call and just give her a sense of what's going on. It's working well or it's not working well. So somebody's kind of keeping track of you or caring about the fact that you're with somebody you don't know. I would always take an Uber to a date. I would never drive my own car because I don't want anybody to see my license plate or anyway know how to find me. I would never have them pick me up on a first date. I would always go to a destination in an Uber so they don't know where I live in case it turns sour. Those kinds of things. So there's some safety things that you could be doing.
I'm glad you brought those up because in today's day and age where everything is easy, you really need to put your thinking cap on and be smart about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And be safe about it.
Because there's so many predators out there. Unbelievable.
And what are they predatoring on?
Sex. What do you mean? What are they predatoring on? They're interested in women for sex. Imagine that.
Go
Some things don't
figure.
change decade to decade.
I think
it doesn't
since
ever
the test
change.
of time, that's a no-brainer. Well, so I think as we conclude our icky first date wrap, some ick things are teeth. What else? What else do we talk about?
Well, unkind people, people who aren't funny, people who don't move their bodies, no humor, stupid questions. I mean, there's a whole
Susan,
list.
you're reeling off the ick factors pretty darn quick.
I know, it's shocking that I know so much about it. Sadly,
I'm going to call you
I know
Susan
a lot
Icky.
about it.
Susan Icky. You guys, thanks for listening. I hope you learned something about instant attraction versus ick on a first date. And that would be a little icky wrap for us. We thank you for listening and hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, please share this show with friends and family and subscribe to our YouTube channel. This way, you'll never miss weekly drops. Stay strong, dream big, and floss your teeth.